Well, hello and welcome, everyone. Just as we're going live, I got a little blip that we are canceled on LinkedIn. Oh, jeez. Yeah. All right, sorry about that. It also had my audio playing on a different place. Um, so just one second while I try to get that going again. That was canceled on LinkedIn. You need to create a new live stream or just remove this. All right. It looks like we might actually be live on LinkedIn. Nothing like a technical glitch just to start things off. If you are on LinkedIn, I would just love to hear from the chat that you can see us or see me, just so that I have a verbal or a confirmation that we are actually live. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. We're also live on YouTube. And today I am so excited to be speaking with Fabrizio Laguna. He's an amazing speaker and has a lot to share with us about this topic that I believe we really do need to be thinking more about, which is artificial intelligence or AI, and specifically how we can help our organizations leverage AI. So as we get started, just go ahead and let us know in the chat, are you using AI already? Yes or no, are you using it? For me, I've started using it a little bit in some of my creative work, and I'm looking at how some of our business applications within Bridging the Gap are starting to leverage these tools as well. So if you are new here, I'm Laura Brandenburg, the founder and CEO of Bridging the Gap, and we provide online training and digital resources specifically to help you start and succeed in your business analyst career. And you can find more about me at bridgingthegap.com and about our training offerings. And we're celebrating our 15-year anniversary this month, which is about a third of my lifetime. And I can say I've never dedicated more of my life to any career or business pursuit than I have to business analysis. So I'm really excited about that. And it's really amazing to see some of these opportunities that we also have today opening up, which really brings us to this topic today. So without further ado, let me bring forward Fabrizio. Hey, Fabrizio.
Hello, Laura. Thank you for
I
inviting
hope we're
me.
going good. I see a yes. Okay, you can see us on LinkedIn. I don't know what happened, but yeah, we had a bit of a glitch, so we're here.
We're here, we're together. I hope people who are watching us have a pleasant time with us. And
Thank you.
it's always recorded, so people can see it
Yes.
later if we
Yes.
have any trouble.
All right. So just a little bit about you, and then I'll let you add anything you want. So Fabricio is known as the Brazilian BA, and he's the main reference for business analysis in Brazil. And you were the first Latin American CBAP all the way back in 2008. And you are also certified with your PMP, your AAC, and your CPOA. So you are a consultant and an instructor for more than 25 years, working with methodology, solution development, business analysis, systems analysis, project management, business architecture, and systems architecture. So that's really incredible. And you have students in your courses from more than 65 different countries. That's amazing.
That's amazing.
Yes.
I'm surprised with that.
Yes. All in English, or English and Portuguese?
English and Portuguese.
Yeah, that's
English
amazing.
and Portuguese courses. Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Yes. And congratulations on your 15th anniversary
Thank
of
you.
Business Alliance for Bridging the Gap.
I always forget, and LinkedIn does a great way of reminding you. And then you start getting these messages about congratulations on your work anniversary. And I'm like, oh, right.
We just celebrated 15 years of our chapter here in Brazil as well.
Wow, well, congratulations. So we were kind of starting up at the same time.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. All right, so let's dive into the topic at hand. So can you just cast a big vision for us here in terms of, like, what's the potential of AI to transform organizations and businesses? Like, what might organizations look like 3, 5, maybe even 10 years down the road? Like, I know
Yeah.
that's like probably an impossible question to answer, but just like what might be in store?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't put dates on that. I think nobody can. Things
Right.
are going so fast, and I did a video on my YouTube channel the other day talking about artificial intelligence and business analysis in the year 2000. Then I didn't say the year, and I asked my audience to say put a year on that. And the funny part is, some people said, "Oh, this is 2040." This is the other said, "Oh, this is next year." So we had very different opinions about when that was coming. That was not already available, but that's a glitch of what you are asking me, a little view about the future.
Yeah.
So when you think about the future, I see that artificial intelligence is a revolution in the way man, and I say humankind, interacts with computer. So the interface that we had before, a lot of years before, was by cards that we had to make rolls on it and put on a machine to make the machine do something. When we had graphical interface, that changed a lot. A lot of people become capable of interacting with computers. So, like Windows, Apple, that created a new way of working with computers. After that, we have the World Wide Web. And so we had browsers and we could navigate on information. That was another huge revolution. Another huge revolution that we had was this. So cell phones with interact and touch, this changed the way we interact with computers so much that my mom, with another lady, that said me, "Oh, Fabrizio, I will never be able to use computer." She sends message to her grandsons every day and to everybody, and she keeps tracking the family because it made computers, in this case a small computer, but accessible for people.
Mm-hmm.
What we see when we are using ChatGPT and other language models is that we are not anymore interfacing through menus and buttons. We are just chatting. We are using natural language. We are still writing those natural language, but we already have other artificial intelligence capable of understanding what we say and transform those things in text. And we have the opposite side as well. So we are passing through a transformation where we interact with computers, not using buttons and a specific interface that computers used to do, but to use like we are doing right now. So I'm speaking with you. We have the language barrier because I'm not a natural language speaker, but we can chat, and I don't have to know your comments. I don't have to know what you have for me in buttons and menu options or something like that. And you can understand me. And we have that with ChatGPT. That's what amazes me the most, right? So this is the huge change that we are seeing, and this kind of interface is going to be available for all computer applications. Think about your doctor going to a specific application where he does diagnosis with you. Today, those doctors have to learn a lot of buttons. Or an engineer who uses an application to develop a building, they have to know all the commands available in the application. They don't know just engineering. They know engineering and they know how to use the tool, right? So imagine if the tool was just chatting, natural language. So they can focus on their own profession. Medical doctors can focus on medical doctors. Lawyers can focus on legal stuff. And they can use tools, just chatting with the tools. And when this happens, and those artificial intelligence may be the interface for people to interact, and now another step, those artificial intelligence can have access not just to the language stuff that we have now on ChatGPT. So ChatGPT can chat and have access to a lot of stuff, but not my stuff. Think about your business stuff. Imagine you're in an hospital and we are talking about your patient's history, and an artificial intelligence that has access to all of that. Or let's think that you work in a bank, and the artificial intelligence have access to your transactional data, what your users do, what are their income, what's all the numbers or all the information that that are available in your business, and you can just ask your interface, and your interface can use all those information to bring you insights, to help you to do tasks. And the artificial intelligence could not just give you information, but could also change your business. Instead of asking a team of developers to change your source code, you could ask an artificial intelligence.
To
ChatGPT
actually
already
update the system.
actually update the system just by
Right.
chatting. So you could, in the same session, ask an artificial intelligence about the data that you have, what transactions have, what let's do an analysis, show me in this way, bring me a Ishikawa diagram, a fishbone diagram about the possible rules. Let's investigate this one, cross that with the data that we had last month, and compare it with the data that we had last year. Is it a season tendency, or is it something new? Let's investigate. Oh, now change this business rule, and we could change the business just chatting with your artificial intelligence assistant. That's what I see for the future. I can say when,
Right.
but I would say that's inevitable.
Gotcha. So it's so fascinating about this idea that, like, I mean, I feel like we spend so much energy as business analysts figuring out that user system interaction, right? And like the user does this, the system does this in response. And we're talking about allowing a user to really talk to a system and receive back. Like, do you still see that being, it almost feels like we have a very engineered, structured dialogue today that would become less structured? Or do we still, like, is there still going to be some structure around that?
I think systems must be redesigned for this new way of using AI. So today we have systems that must be updated through a development team. So I should develop systems ready for change. I call that the agile requirement. When I say the agile requirement is my solutions should be adaptable dynamically. If I want to change something on my solution, we don't need artificial intelligence to do that, by the way. You can build your systems based on business rules, on process engines, and go there and change the process or change the rules, and your system will have a different behavior. So this way of thinking and architecturing systems have been coming before AI. What AI brings me as new is that the interface becomes very easier to use, and I can use AI as an assistant to do some tasks that primarily I would have to do it by myself, or I should have a team to do that, an expert, a technology person, and now I can have AI to do that. But this change of dynamical business, I would say this is something that is coming for a while, and we are looking for more nimble organizations. And by that, I mean organizations that can sense and respond to change quickly and precisely. So with this kind of solutions or business modeled as dynamically changeable, it makes my business very faster to take decisions and change and understand what's going on.
That's awesome. Thank you. And I just noticed a comment from Christine in the chat. I think when I rehooked us up to LinkedIn, it probably put us at a different event. So Christine, if you are able to just drop the link to where we're at now over there, that would be amazing. And I'm really sorry for anybody who's kind of missed, and for Fabricio to like, I don't know what happened with the glitch, but we're here, and I don't know how to get us back over there. So I think we're going to stay here, and hopefully people will be able to find us here if they click on my profile.
I hope so.
All right. Yes. So that would be great, Christine, if you're able to share that over there. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you, Christine.
Yes, thank you. A couple of people said that they wrote to others. Okay, great. Awesome. Wonderful.
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you. People will find us. So Fabricio, what would you say to somebody who's maybe like, I have to admit, I love thinking about the future, but like that is a little scary to like, there's so many fundamental, not just like mindsets, but like shifts that happen in order to like have the world be that way, right? Like, so what would you just say to somebody who's a bit, maybe just afraid or feels like that's a little bit scary, that that's what the world that's coming?
Well,
Yeah.
first thing I would say is I'm sorry, but you have
Mm,
no option, right? So the Pandora box is open,
right.
and it won't close anymore. So
Yeah.
technology is not something that we just put back on the box and close it. Once it's open, it's transforming the world.
Yeah.
And artificial intelligence is something that's here. It's not something that we might want or not want, but we might influence how we are going to use it. And that's the point. I think that's the main point. We are business analysts. We are fostering discussions in our organizations about directions, about strategy, about what solutions should look like. So we must take the lead on driving those changes. Artificial
Mm,
intelligence is a given. It's going to be used for what? How are we using it? Are is artificial intelligence going to make us more productive? Sure, it will. Why? What are you going to use with this productivity? Are we going to make just more profit, or are we going to have more time to spend with our families? Are we going
mm,
to send a lot of people home and have just a few employees, or are we using that productivity in benefit of everyone? So these kind of discussions, they're very strategic discussions. They must be taken by someone. Someone should take the lead. And I believe
mm.
our business analysts have a very important role in this point.
Yeah. So why don't you tell me a little bit about that? Like, what do you, and for those of you who are here with us, whether you're on YouTube or LinkedIn, also feel free to get your questions in the chat. We want to leave a good amount of time for Q&A. But the next question I have, you just really set us up for it. What do you see as the business analyst role to help their organizations leverage AI and help build towards this kind of future?
I always understood that business analysis is different of business execution. So
Mm,
if you work in business execution, you're just doing the task that was define it for you. If you're working in business analysis, you're thinking about the business. How can you transform the business? How can you enhance the outcomes of the business? So, business analysis about thinking, about connecting strategy to execution, about, I would say, defining strategy and finding the way of how can we implement that strategy and different alternatives to make the best value for our stakeholders. So business analysts are change leaders. They are the ones that have the authority to argue, to challenge the status quo, to challenge where are we going, why do we want this technology, what should we looking for. We're not just looking for automation, or not just looking for artificial intelligence. We're looking for some benefits of it. What are the benefits that we are looking for? How can we use this new tool, this new technology, to reach that outcomes that our organization or our stakeholders are looking for? Business analysts are so important, or I could even say differently. Business analysis is essential,
mm,
right? In a lot of organizations, business analysis is done in different levels by different people, right? So it's not always someone with the name business analyst who is
mhm,
doing it. But when there is someone doing business analysis and defining strategy, for example, is he prepared to do that? Does he knows how to do business analysis? Does he have the techniques? Does he have the concepts to do that? Shouldn't we help these people? I see business analysts very much as some coaches in organizations, trying to make everyone a little bit more business analysts. So, making business analysis as a corporate culture. The whole organization should be thinking about strategy of how can we get better outcomes, how can we use this as a useful thing, where are we going? So these kind of connections are very important. I think we have a very important and essential role in this transformation. If we not take our seat as leaders, we may be running as blind people, just without a
mhm.
direction, just without thinking correctly about those stuff.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I think, the business analyst role, I love that idea of like we're leaders, we have a seat at the table, we want to be proactive. But I also feel like many times we don't see ourselves as the visionary, right? We don't see ourselves as the one driving change. We're really like, so we might be in an organization where none of the executives are really concerned with AI yet, right? And so in that organization, what's the like, do we start, what's the line? When do we start maybe drifting out of our lane too much by becoming too much of the visionary or too much of the driver? Or is that actually the role that you're saying we need to be filling when it comes to this?
Well, if we take business analysis by definition,
Mm-hmm.
it's the practice of enabling change. So we are change enablers. And if nobody wants to change, we should shake the organization because that's why we are there. So we are there to make changes and not
Mm-hmm.
any change, but the changes that delivers the solutions that creates the best value for stakeholders. So, and how do we do that? By defining needs. So, or requirements is the name. So when we are not requirement scribes, we're
Right.
identifying the requirements of stakeholders to find the solutions that better delivers value for stakeholders. And that's important. That's our role. We must lead change. We must pull change over. And if nobody's looking for AI, maybe it's not a problem. They are looking for what's important for them. The fact is, would AI be helpful for what we are looking for?
Mm-hmm.
What's our direction? So, oh, we are looking for our customer. They're not satisfied because we are not delivering a good product. And could I use AI to deliver them a better product? Oh, we are looking for our costs because they're so high. Could I use AI to make our work more productive? We don't have to look for AI as something that we have to implement, like it was big data a few years ago, or like
Mm-hmm.
everybody's talking about big data. We have to implement big data. Nobody needs to implement big data. People want a data-driven organization, and big data may be a solution for that. Nobody wants to implement AI by AI. We
Yeah.
want better outcomes. We want more productivity. We want lower costs. We want more happy customers. We want more happy employees. How can we use AI to build that? I think that's the connection
Yeah.
we must make. And we have a very uh, well placed role to make this connection, because people give us this authority to question. If you are a business analyst, you may ask, what's your needs, right? What's the status quo? We can challenge the status quo to make changes. So why not do this?
Yeah, I think that is such a key point that we're not like we're not expected to be the we need to use AI people necessarily, but here's a business need. We always are looking for all the possible solutions to those business needs. Here's how AI might be part of the solution in a way that our stakeholders haven't thought of before.
Mm-hmm.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
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 So given this, like where do we start? What do we need to know? Right? Who do we need to get involved? Like how do we get that off the ground?
All right. So I think the first thing is to be curious. If we want to identify solutions that AI may provide to your business, you must be aware about what AI is offering.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of stuff happening. So there's a lot of different tools of AI. Make experiments. Go to ChatGPT, make some questions and see what happens. Go to Midjourney and create some images. Go to an AI that creates music and try to create your own music. So be curious, try to experiment stuff, be aware about what's going on, read articles, see videos from YouTube or from Laura Brandenburg showing some things, and other people who are providing videos. And so this is important for your business. Take that as an investment in learning, uh,
Mm-hmm.
not just about what's available and what you can use, but also about the risks that you must be aware, like potential threats that we have with AI. So you must know that when you ask ChatGPT something, it can hallucinate and bring you a wrong answer. You must be aware about that. and he's not like the oracle that gives you all the right answers, right? So you must understand the risks. You must understand that there's a lot of biases because those artificial intelligence were trained by a knowledge base, and our knowledge base are biased. So it tends to repeat the same behavior from the knowledge base. So there's a lot of situations where AI, if you are, for example, using AI to create a response and putting that response inside the knowledge base to retro feeds the cycle, your biases have a very risk of becoming more and more biased because you're just repeating the same behavior. Let's say that if you are making a system to help judges to find if someone is guilty or not guilty, there's a great risk if the people is a colored skin, he have more chances to be declared guilty because that's the basis of the knowledge base you use. It was biased, and you're just repeating that, right?
Yeah.
So you must be aware of this kind of stuff and create some mechanisms to avoid those kind of risks. So be curious, be aware of the threats that you are living, and start using. Go to ChatGPT, for example, provide a scenario and ask a question. Then you iterate and try to ask more questions and try to see if you find something useful for your business, for your product. Try to look for opportunities. There are a lot of opportunities around there.
Yeah, and I would love to hear in the chat and also from you, like if any examples that you've seen leveraging AI to deliver value. I know, and like maybe a little bit about on the skepticism of this too. So I know for me personally, like we are a business that uses off-the-shelf systems, right? So web-based systems. And those systems have started to leverage AI. So I think it's also important to know, like you might be using AI without knowing that you're using AI because it's like embedded in the tools, right? But like one of those tools has said, oh, we're going to release this new feature. It's like our ticketing tool of like being able to summarize automatically like a long email chain that you have with a customer. And to me, that feels like, oh, yeah, that's useful. It feels achievable, right? It feels like, yes, I can see how that would work. And then like another one of the tools is saying, give us 15 minutes and we'll create a whole course for you. And we'll save you months of time, like creating your own course. And I'm just like, what? Like that just like feels a little bit like out of like the realm of possibility. So I'd be interested, like what examples that you've seen, and like, do you have a filter for like what seems like, oh, that's useful and reasonable, but or that those people are kind of over bloating or overselling the potential of AI, or maybe that's just my own limited thinking about what's actually possible. Maybe they could actually create a course and it would be awesome. So I'm kind of curious on your reflections around that, Fabricio.
Yeah. AI is not automating people. AI is automating tasks. That's an important distinction we have to do. So
can you say that again? Yeah.
Artificial intelligence
Yeah.
is not substituting people. It's substituting tasks that
Mhm.
people used to do, and people don't have to do it anymore. So some tasks may be done by artificial intelligence, and some tasks may not.
Yeah.
And like the ability to sense what you're thinking, to feel. Artificial intelligence feels nothing. It have no feelings. It have no empathy. It can even fake empathy in a response, but it doesn't empathize at all, right? So we still have people some work to do. As things progress, AI tools may become better and better, and in some tasks even better than people. So let's take, for example, something that AI does very well and is evolving very fast is about diagnosis in medicines. So I can take your exams, give it to a doctor, and then he can analyze and try to find out what's your issue if you have a medical condition, or I can give it to an AI and make AI do the same thing. What we have now is that AI is better than young doctors. Not yet better than senior doctors, but already better than young doctors. And it's learning fast. So at some point, maybe we prefer to have an AI analyzing your
Right.
medical data instead of a doctor, because the doctor may be tired, he may have some problems at home, and AI doesn't have that because AI feels nothing and it's going to be
Right.
neutral, right? Or let's talk about driving. So an autonomous car. Today, autonomous car is not as smart as people. So there's this, we are in this phase that we are testing autonomous cars, and they are good in some situations where streets are very well prepared for them. There are sensors. But if the streets are not very well prepared, they can't ride very well. But let's look forward in 10, 15, 20 years. Maybe it will be a crime to drive a wrong car because AI drives so much better than people. I'm just
Right.
trying
Then
to.
why would we would, it's almost like we would not need cars. We would need just,
With
we'd need
all
a
cars would not have a wheel because
transportation. Yeah.
so if AI can do it better than you, why would you do that, right?
Right.
But there are some other stuff that are not. So you were mentioning about creating a course automatically.
Yeah.
I would say that's a very bad course today, right? But if you created that in 15 minutes and you were selling it very cheap, I could even buy it because I don't want to read the whole book. So I put a book inside of this AI and it will output me a course of 5 minutes. I know that's not the same thing as the book, right? But it's so cheap and so easy. Why not to use it? Probably it's a very good start for a teacher to use. So think that you are creating your own course and you could use AI to make your a version one of your course or first version of it in 15 minutes, and then you can put your personal thing on it. I'm seeing AI very much more as a tool today. So something that you can make your work more productive and put your work on that, but you get a lot of more time. Let's use some examples of AI usage.
Yeah.
I have been doing this kind of videos and interviews online. And after doing these interviews, I ask AI to transcript everything that have been said to text. So that's an AI. A lot of people use that, but they don't even think about this as AI, but speech recognition. By the way, if you're going to use this, I must tell you that I am AI proof because AI cannot understand my accent. So I have to take what AI have done and adjust it, especially when I am speaking, because AI doesn't understand me. But it gives me a lot of more productivity that if I had to write it from scratch, it would take me a lot of time. But just adjusting is easier. After I do this transcript, I translate this transcript to Portuguese, and there's an AI to do that, right? So this translation to Portuguese is also. I also review it because we're not as good as an AI, but it's a tool that helps me a lot, makes my job easier. And then I use another AI to create subtitles and put the subtitles in the right place. It's another AI. So there's lots of AIs that we can use that can improve our productivity and make our life easier. But I still have to. I'm still leading. I'm still looking at how I can use it.
That makes sense. I think it's a great time to actually ask this question. And you've been sharing a lot of tools, but like, are there specific tools, templates, and prompts that we can use? Anywhere that you would specifically recommend people start? I mean, obviously Chat GPT, but are there other specific tools that you recommend or prompts that you recommend that people work with? Yeah.
And that's a question from you for the folks.
This is a question from the group, but for you. Yes.
For me. For me. All right. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
No worries.
So ChatGPT is one of the most known and very useful. But ChatGPT doesn't serve the web unless you use the paid version. So you can use Bard to search the web or Bing Chat. Both of them have this ability of going online. You can even specify, go to this website and look for this information for me, and they can do it. Just don't trust it very 100%. Check it later if it gave you a right information. Another interesting tool that I like to do is Canva have for creating images and graphics. They have their own artificial intelligence embedded. Microsoft Designer is very nice to create presentations and designs. I like very much Midjourney to create images. I think those are the most amazing pictures created by AI. Actually, all my courses in Portuguese, Laura, I created new covers for them on LinkedIn, and my covers are very pretty. So I have a requirements a cover. I have a agile courses, all with these new images created by artificial intelligence, and they look so pretty. I could never do that by myself alone, but with the usage of AI. And about prompts, what I would recommend is always, especially with ChatGPT and Bard and Bing, try to create some contexts. Try to before making your asking for a test, like bring me stakeholders. Try to explain what your scenario, what you're leaving, and you can say, if you're a business analyst and put yourself as a business analyst, bring me a list of stakeholders, and that would help. For these specific stakeholders, create a set of user stories, and then it can bring and iterate. And that's very nice about those tools. They keep the context of your conversation. So it's like chatting with someone and trying to iterate and learn more about what you're doing. So those are very good tools to create requirements, to think about solutions. I know that there are some specific requirements engineering tools that are incorporating ChatGPT, Bard, and those other tools inside of it. And then what they have is they have prompts ready for you. So you just say, oh, click here, right button, create a list of user stories for this specific stakeholder, create a specific user acceptance test for this user story, and it creates a lot of stuff. That doesn't mean it's good stuff, but it's a good start. So it brings you productivity. Point. Yeah. Yes. It's just starting. It's not an ending. That's important, Laura. That course, if you look at it as an ending, it's probably a poor course. But if you look at starting, it enhances your productivity.
Yeah, very good. And I just want to show this comment. I think it's a great reflection on what we've been talking about. I love the concept of using AI as a tool rather than a transformation or system. With this mindset, it isn't as intimidating to utilize it. It makes it easier to be curious as well. So thank you, Avinash, for that.
Very good. Let me give you another example of usage of AI of a company that I worked with. They received a lot of legal documents from the judge that sent them some order from the judge, and they have to do block financial data from their customer, from actually money. So this money was being issued. So the judge said, "Oh, block his assets," and they had to block everything. And they use it to receive a lot of letters like this. And what they're using AI to read those letters, to identify the right information, and to define everything that should be done, and deliver it for someone just to check. Okay. Because they have a time to do that, and the time was very short. And if they did not, if they weren't able to do it in the time that the judge sentence, the judge told them to do, they would be charged and they would have to pay a lot of money. So they could make their work more productive and fast using AI to make that first analysis and understanding what is the date. And if the date's too close, AI can put this thing for the top of priority so they can analyze it faster. So it was a very clever usage of AI. AI was not doing the whole job. It just takes some tasks of the job and it's putting it faster for people to analyze it, more structured and easier, so they could be very faster in their work.
Very cool. Yeah. Yeah, and in my head, I'm like, why isn't the judge just delivering a list of accounts with the amount? Like, why do we have so much text that we have to deal with? Which would be a whole other way to solve that problem. But I'm sure tackling the judicial system is a little bit more challenging than using
Perfect. Yeah,
AI
yeah, yeah.
to prune the data.
You're completely right. Right. So
Yeah.
we would have to change the whole juridic system.
Yeah.
Cannot do that. We just can change on our side. So that was the solution they found.
Awesome. And yeah, I think we're just in the kind of open Q&A mode here now. Ron, great to see you, Ron. It's been a while. I think the essence of Ron's question is like, what makes business analysts in it, like, are we not in a great position to examine the ethical elements of AI? But I wonder if you could just, you spoke to like how we do need to be looking at that, but like, where are some of the ways we could be using our business analysis skills to actually be framing the ethical questions around AI?
Yes,
Yeah.
and putting a lot of people around the table to discuss that. So we are good facilitators of debates. We are
Yeah.
people that enhance questions. We don't have to solve the questions. That's important thing. That's not our duty to bring all the solutions or all the answers, but we have to make the questions. We have to make people aware about the questions. We have to engage the responsible people for those stuff. And I totally agree. We must bring those ethical questions to light, and people should be discussing those things.
Yeah. Yeah. Comment from Scott. Great to see you, Scott.
Hello,
Was just on
Scott.
IABA this podcast last week, but loved your example of doctors. And
Yeah.
Fabricio versus AI. That was a good. That one, I will say, that example really brought it home for me. That like the idea of somebody sitting down and using natural language, and just for, I know we didn't have everybody join right at the beginning, but the example was like, imagine a doctor having to go look at all these different test results and all these different things, right? Versus being able to use natural language to like actually ask questions about your history and then to even add to your history. And it really started to make me think too about like, what are use cases going to look like in the future, right? What are business processes going to look like? Like, I think the thinking skills that goes into them will be similar, but the outputs, like the system responses, will be so much less concrete than they are today. Like the options are just so diverse. Like, how do you even start to think through what those requirements are? You know?
When you think about AI in a future's perspective, you don't think about just the way we use ChatGPT today. ChatGPT is I input a prompt and it gives me a response.
Right.
So it's input, output, question, response. When you think about an artificial intelligence on the future, I think more of an agent artificial intelligence. An agent would not just have the ability to answer my questions, but it would have the ability to check all my historic data, that would have the ability to travel through my processes, to connect with other people, and to question itself. So an agent, instead of giving it a question, I give an agent an objective.
Mm-hmm.
And when I give an agent an objective, I say something like, oh, take this video and find me 3 million viewers with this video. And the agent would ask itself, how can I make a video get 3 million viewers? Like, think about ChatGPT asking itself, how can I make that? And there's a list of alternatives. And he can do it how many times it needs, and it can do the tasks, like, let's say, publishing it something online and creating a description and making an experiment, everything automatically, because it would have an API to your YouTube channel, to your LinkedIn account, and the artificial intelligence could be working until that objective could be reached. So it would be working by itself and questioning itself and making some tests, assumptions, and responses. And I won't program what an agent do or this. Sorry, it's not be my programming, because it will be his own programming. He's going to ask itself what to do and define what to do based on the learning that he has, or I don't know even if you say it or he, or I don't know how to call it,
Yeah,
but
it's maybe more.
it
Yeah.
probably is more correct, but it will adjust its programmation by itself and until it can find me the objective that I set. That's really different about the
Yeah.
way we work today.
Yeah. And I mean, the pieces where, so, but like we can still grab onto what are the APIs or the data connections, right? That the AI tool may have access to. What are the business
Mhm.
rules? What is it allowed to do and what is it not allowed to do?
That's an
What do we
important
need
thing.
approvals for versus can be done automatically? Like those are the, it's just like
What are
there's
the
going to be the thinking
guardrails
that goes
that
into
you
it.
are going to create that
Yeah.
can guarantee that AI is not going to make some mess, right? So,
Right. Right. Are we going to be mess controllers versus like enablers in a
we are
way?
probably more creating guardrails and letting AI work for us, but
Yeah.
we can create something that because we are aware about the risks, and so let's
Yeah.
put some. You may do whatever you want once I approve, for
Yeah.
example, right? You may do whatever you want, but you may not do this kind of thing. We must design these guardrails or these restrictions very well. That's the kind of discussions that we have to think about as business analysts, as software developers, and solution architects in the following future.
Yeah. It's amazing. All right. So we have a few minutes left with Fabrizio. So we probably have time for a couple more questions if you get them in the chat. I'm going to pull up this one. Again from Avinash. Are there AI specific tools that specifically help tackle BA related tasks? If I had to think about it, BA's roles and responsibilities are tasks as well as building relationships and problem solving with the intention to make all stakeholders have the best experience. The latter, I don't think can or will be replaced.
Yeah. I have seen some requirements to incorporating artificial intelligence. So they have plugins to help you integrate your job with artificial intelligence. We have some tools like uh, process mining, incorporating artificial intelligence to design processes from your logs from your current transactional data. That's very interesting.
Hmm.
I still didn't see, and I expect to see some enterprise architecture tools using AI to make impact analysis. So if I change this business rule, what else will change? So those kind of questions that we usually expect that an enterprise architecture tool can solve us, but using AI. So I can ask, I can ask using natural language, and could use all my blueprints of my organization about processes, business rules, requirements, systems, stakeholders, strategy that could have all those connections related and could talk to me about impacts, and that I could update all those information. That I'm expecting to see that because it makes sense for me. So when something makes sense for me, I always believe that's not just for me, but
Right.
other people are thinking about the same thing and they're building it. And a problem that we had, probably you also experienced it, that Laura, a lot, about having blueprints updated in an organization. And when I say blueprints, I can talk about processes, business rules, policies, system requirements, or designs, architecture. It's hard to keep it updated because all those things are always changing, and nobody wants to update them.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good use for AI. So AI could update it for us
Yeah.
easier. So today we don't update it because it's expensive to update, and we already have another change to be taken care. So we stop updating and go for the other stuff. If we could make that easy with the usage of a tool that could make it automatically, why not? So I expect to see this. I haven't seen it yet, Avinash, but I hope to see it soon.
Yeah. Yeah, Avinash says, very interesting. I could see Jira or any DevOps tool getting right into that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah, Noreen, I think to be able to diagnose problems more effectively, to less test solutions against each other and be able to predict the future problems before they happen, which can avoid costly mistakes in the process and improve efficiency.
Perfectly. Yeah, the
Yeah,
usage of AI to create scenarios and test scenarios will be great.
yeah. So, question here from Mike: should BA start working to define requirements for what is needed by AI tools? I think this is what
Uh,
we're talking about today, right?
yes.
Yeah.
I just would not say AI tools. I would say AI enabled tools. Think about every tool you're using, Mike. Like your watch, like your television, your computer, your bank accounts, your insurance company. There's a lot of tools there. How can we enable those tools? What opportunities is AI bringing for those tools? I believe that's these are the same way that we have been doing with requirements, but
Mhm.
some things were just not possible before, and now they are. So this
Kind
is
of
so cool.
reminds me of the magic wand question. When we do surveys, I always like to ask, like, if you could wave a magic wand, what would you want to have, like, as part of this program? Like, right, like total pie in the sky. And I think it sounds like, just as a mindset and an attitude, we need to be thinking more pie in the sky,
Yeah,
right? Things
yeah,
that seemed impossible before could be possible now. And so, like, just
yeah.
kind of opening up that creativity.
Yeah. And that's the point about I told you before about being curious and looking around. What are they doing with AI? What
Mhm.
is available? Because it can open your mind to other opportunities to look for a startup in Australia and see what they're doing and think, oh, how can I bring that to Brazil to my company and look what nice usage they are using there. How could I use that? This example that I said about reading a judge notification and understanding that, how could I use reading a letter and understanding that in my own business? What kind of letters do we receive? What kind of documentation do we receive that we spend a lot of time working on to understand and categorize and put it on the correct path? So
Mhm.
how could I use AI to do that? And this kind of ideas
Yeah.
should be one.
Yeah. So I have one final question, and we'll let you talk a bit about yourself too. But so what do you see as the skill set? Like, how is the business analysis skill set going to change from what it is today? Like, is there things that are gonna, like, that are essential today that, like, are no longer needed, and things that we're going, obviously there's new skills we'll need to develop, but do also, like, are we gonna do away with anything that is really important today?
My opinion, business analysis is not going to change very much.
Hmm.
So the skills that we have, the skills to empathize with people, to lead stakeholders to a good discussion, to understand needs, to define options and alternative solutions. Those skills are almost the same. There are new options available that we should be looking for. So the solution domain is going through a very fast change. The needs domain is not. So we're still talking about people. We're still talking about integrating with people. What we have to change is probably before AI. So we have already been changing the role of a business analyst from someone who are more responsible for specifying requirements,
Mm-hmm.
for someone who are more responsible to integrating communication and making everybody aware about what have to be done, from someone who are responsible for centralizing requirements, for someone who is responsible for connecting everybody and making everybody connected and aware. So I believe that the change is not about AI. We have been passing through this change for the last 2 decades, especially because of agile and because of the way we shaped our profession. Business analysts are very more connected to business outcomes than documentation. Documentation is a way to manage communication. They're not the communication per se. So
Mhm.
I can use documentation and make my communication clearer, but my role is not making documentation. My role is making communication clear, making people to understand. So this change is not new. It's not about AI, and so it keeps going. Actually, documentation becomes easier because I have AI now. So it's even less important to be a documenter, to go to a meeting and write the notes of the meeting. AI can do that for you today. If you haven't used it, it's amazing for you. Like, take this video, take the transcript on internet, put on ChatGPT, and ask ChatGPT. Create a summary of this conversation. It creates it better than most people will do. It does it very well. So if that was your work, just doing this kind of repetitive task, you're in trouble. But if you are empathizing with people, if you're leading change, if you are connecting people, if you are trying to integrate different areas from your organization, looking to broke silos, this is not going to change. I don't see very much changes in a good BA.
Mhm.
I can see some changes in the bad BA, but in a
Mm.
good BA, I believe they are in the right place, in the right moment, and we need them so much.
Yeah. Thank you. I feel like I have to bring up this question from Christine. It's a really good one. So I don't know if you know, as part of the Blueprint program as it exists today, participants submit workbooks that are reviewed by an instructor where they're doing documentation. So can we tell if people are using AI? We've had some conversations about this, Christine, and we have definitely, we can tell when people are phoning it in. We can tell when people are pulling things from different parts of the internet, which of course is not within the course of materials. So like, I think this is the 80%, right? So somebody used Chat GPT to like create the first draft of their use case and then applied their intelligence to make it really well crafted and to make sure that they linked it to what problem they're trying to solve and the meeting that they're running, like all the pieces. Like, we probably wouldn't be able to tell that, but that's because they're using that extra 20%, which is what really is important, right? I think that's the whole point of what we're trying to teach, definitely in our company, but also I think the message that we got from Fabricio today is like focusing on what's important and not on the things.
So why not to use a tool that's available for you? Like
Yeah,
a lot of people use Grammarly. Do you use Grammarly, Laura?
not a lot, but some people on my team do. Yeah,
For me, it's very usable because
yeah,
I'm not a very good English writer. So
yeah,
Grammarly can tell me when I'm typing some word wrongly or using some wrong
yeah.
verbs. It's very useful. It's still me talking, but there's
Mhm.
a tool helping me. It's not like Grammarly is writing for me. It's a tool
Yeah,
that helps me to write. So we must learn how to use artificial intelligence as a tool to make our communication better, not
yeah.
to use the IT communication, but our communication better. And it's a very useful tool.
All right. So, if for those of you who want to connect with Fabricio, I know you're on LinkedIn. You have a couple YouTube channels here. Anything else? I mean, thank you so much for sharing everything you did today. This has just been an amazing wealth of information. I hope that everybody who was joining us at one place on LinkedIn found us on the right place on LinkedIn. And if not, like, the replay is up on LinkedIn. It will also be up on our YouTube channel. Anything else you want to say about how people can connect with you after this?
They also can find me on my website. It's thebrazilianba.com. And from that site, there's a lot of videos and free content that people can surf and watch. They can see me talking with ChatGPT and ChatGPT from the future. They can see ChatGPT debating with other artificial intelligence. So there's a lot of things about artificial intelligence, but mainly about business analysis. There is also a good interview with Laura Brandenburg if you come to my channel.
Thank you. Yes, we just recorded that in July. All right. And then for anyone wanting to connect with me, if we're on YouTube, like, you can subscribe to our channel right here. I'm also welcome your individual connection requests on LinkedIn, and we have our website, bridgingthegap.com, as well. So thank you, Fabricio, so much for being here. I really appreciate the opportunity to have you live on the show and everything that you shared. Really grateful. And I feel like there's going to be something else that comes from this. So I look forward to connecting again sometime soon.
It will be a pleasure. It was a pleasure today, and it will be a pleasure to do it again in the future. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.